She looks good.
That's all it is.
Stop. You can't even receive it. You can't do it. I will deal with you guys one-on-one.
I did it.
It's the same kind of mechanism here. If I have to say things to you, if I have to say positive things to you, I cannot keep hating you. And so the Bible says, heap hot coals on your enemy by showing them love. And it's the same thing here. To heap the hot coals on each other, they have to tell each other nice things. And so when Benzino starts saying these nice things, watch the way Althea comes back at him, right? He says, listen, she's a beautiful woman. And Althea said straight away, oh my God, da 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 da. And do you know what? I don't agree with her response, but I understood it. And here's why I understood it. Because us men especially do this all the time. Is that the only thing you can compliment my quality is how beautiful I am? Because remember where Althea's coming from. She knows that she's beautiful. She knows she's sexy. She knows she's good looking. She already knows them things already. What she's looking for is the words that are going to speak not just to how good she looks, but to her character. You understand? That's why she fought back straight away so much. Now I don't agree with that, and I don't like that energy. But I understand. It's like if the girl said, "Oh, he's a good looking," because women, look, her responses were not about Benzino's a great looking guy. Maybe he's not necessarily a great looking guy. That's probably why I shouldn't say it. But that wasn't her thought on their head. Do you understand? And oftentimes when I speak to females, when you ask them like, so why do you like this guy? It won't necessarily be that he's a good looking guy. They can look past that and say, look, these are the qualities that he has. And so I think that's what she was looking at. I was like, oh, is that a quality? Like, say 3 nice things about him. He's a good looking girl. Yeah, but everybody can see that I'm good looking. Now, what do you see when you're with me? You know what I'm saying? What are the qualities that no one else has seen but you're seeing? Give me those things. You understand? So I understood why she said that. But, like I said, the reaction just showed her. And when she fought back so quickly, Spirit again intervened and said, listen, look, hey, that's not how we do things here. Because by you doing that, what you're doing now is shutting down the process. And that's what Althea does. It's like, as soon as something gets good and gets going good, she wants to shut it down. And the reason why is because she's not used to the good love. She doesn't know good love. In fact, the moment it goes on too good too long, she's going to have to do something to make it go wrong. Why? Because people know struggle love and they don't know real love. And when you're used to struggle, you want to put yourself back into what? Routine, because we're creatures of what? Habit. Bull.
He's amazing at real estate. And and that's nothing that I ever did. So, you have to give her that credit.
You don't have to, but you chose to.
And then the third one.
He said great at real estate. I want you to pay attention to her. She broke down immediately. Here is what I'm talking about. I mentioned to you in episode 1 that the fact that she mentioned about the real estate that she did and he insulted her about the real estate, she was hurt by that. And then for him to rescind it now and say, listen, she's great at real estate. I don't even know how to do it. She's great at real estate. Giving her the dues and the respect that she craved from early. He doesn't even realize that those words alone are so powerful. Many of us who are watching this video right now are wishing our partner would say to us, babe, I'm proud of what you've been doing lately. Babe, I'm actually loving what you're doing lately. Do you know this thing that you're doing, babe? Look, you are doing a lot right now and I love that you're doing this. Let me tell you something. I was in a relationship and the person took no interest really in what I was doing. I was so disheartened by it, But I kept on going. And I started to realize other people are starting to compliment me. I was like, blood, how are you not complimenting me? Like, it don't make sense that my partner is not complimenting what I'm doing. And so you can understand here, and me too also, I've done it in the past where I've also not complimented the person. And thought to myself, they know what they're doing. Carry on, man. Do you know what I mean? So when obviously, Benzino said those words, she was broken instantly. I want to let you know, the Bible talks about the fact that words are like poison. Well, if they are like poison, there must be words that are like antidotes. There are words that quell the fire and quench the fire. Because the Bible says that the water, wash the woman through the word. Yeah? Wash the woman through the word. Meaning that word can be like water. It can quench fire too.
He was together. She don't try to cheat. She's loyal.
Thank you.
Just as much as it can bring fire to a situation. You know what I mean? Peacemakers, what we're called to be as Christians. So understand that those words that Benzino said did so much more than what he even realized. It broke her. Broke her. Some of you need to go to your partners today and break your partner by saying how proud you are, how much you appreciate what they do, how much you see, how much work they've done around the house and in the relationship. You know, some of you need to just launch in some good words. Stop buying flowers and launch in some good words. You understand? And then obviously with Althea, she also said her 3 things that, you know, she really appreciates Benzino, which was one to do with the fact that, you know, he's a great father, you know. And look, he started tearing up, right? And the reason why he started tearing up is because they don't say these things to each other. They say other things to kill each other. They say words to nuke each other. They say words to provoke each other. They say words that are daggers and swords. You know, the Bible says a word is a sword. It's a dagger to slice and dice each other, you know. And that's why the Bible says the word is a double-edged sword. It's like the words that you speak can be a double-edged sword. It can cut you, it can cut them. You know, it is dangerous when it's used incorrectly, words, you know. And even before that, something that I noticed as well, Althea did similarly to you know, when she was explaining about her feelings instead of actually saying what her feelings were. When she started off this 3 things she must say about Benzino, she started off with an explanation about the fact that she sees Benzino.
I see him as more than what he sees himself.
More than he sees himself, right? And this is why I say to you that this woman loves this man, fam, and vice versa. For you to make a comment that you see him more than he sees himself, and then go on to explain that, you know what, he doesn't get the credit that he deserves with the work that he does in the music industry. She really explained this thing. Because Althea is a person who has, I think, words really affect her. Because judging by how she was broken by those words, it sounds like and the way that she's always trying to explain herself, words are, maybe her love language is words of affirmation. Hence why she's so bitter when it comes to one of the things that he says, and is very vicious the way she launches. So you know, she mentioned that's a long explanation about how, you know, Benzino doesn't get that kind of credit in the music industry, but he's good at what he does. He's amazing at what he does. And so you just see Benzino, then also tears are starting to come from his eyes. You know, tears are coming from his eyes, and it's just a beautiful thing to kind of watch. And there is hope for them if they can just get the talking of the reals about how they truly feel, and start by actually addressing the root cause of their issues. And I think the thing that really I guess works against Althea is that by her explanation, she's able to understand both points of view. She's seeing your point of view and her point of view. And what the problem is in being able to understand both points of view, it makes you a victim of your own yourself. Because what you tend to do is try to put other people first without really stressing about what you really need. And so the way that Althea seems to explain, and like when she explained about 3 things, she mentioned about the fact that she sees Benzino doing it. Instead of just saying, listen, Benzino's a great producer, she could have left it there. But she said, no, I see you more than you see yourself. Which means that she's able to she's being what we call empathetic, in that sense of bringing his angle into her own angle of how she's seeing the situation. And it's a great thing to have. But if it's not done correctly, or if you don't understand what you're doing, it ends up being a victim to you, because you end up entangling yourself. Because then you start feeling like, okay, I have to put that person first, and you start thinking about everything they're doing. Oh, they thought about this, and it doesn't allow you to be honest about how you truly feel about what was done, because you're always thinking about them. And it seems like Althea's reached that point where she no longer cares, no longer wants to care. You know, and we heard that even in the first episode where she saw Benzino crying and she wanted to get up there and hug him. Look, this is a woman that loves this man, boy, but she doesn't know how to love him. Another thing as well, Benzino went to Teresa as well, which I found something very interesting. Teresa was saying, you know what, Benzino, you're dope. Like, I read up on you, I saw your biography, you're big, like, And he said, thank you, but. And that is Benzino's problem. He's unable to receive the complimentals. Yeah, something in him does not allow him to receive complimentals. Many of us are like this. Even me, someone compliments, I'm like, yeah, I hear you still. You too, you're good. Someone can't compliment me, and I know how to. Someone can't compliment me, and I will leave them alone. I have to compliment them as well, because I just feel so awkward being complimented. I feel like I'm scared of being conceited and da-da-da-da. But actually where it comes from is an immodest look at yourself. But it also comes from a place of where you don't rate yourself that highly. You yourself don't see yourself as very high. That's the problem. And so you fail to be able to accept, praise, but you happily accept criticism quickly because you're always waiting for the criticism to come because you yourself criticize yourself. We are our own worst enemy. And when you saw that, I see that Teresa was actually, as he was talking, because he quickly shifted the conversation from being about him and his biography to Althea and, if she just played her part, I would do this, again, switching the energy from, instead of just being about him and dealing with him, he switches the blame to no. You were just having a conversation with Teresa around you and your biography. How have you switched it to Althea?
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You just seem so hard on yourself, man. And it's like, you're smart as shit. I could just tell, like, you're dope.
I appreciate it, but, I'm still working towards it. It's just, if she could just chill out.
That focus that you have on this woman is incorrect, and it actually needs to be focused elsewhere. So that was important. The last part to look at, obviously, is the meeting with Spirit. I think this meeting was so important, so key for us to understand some things about Benzino. So when he comes in, he hugs her, good warm hug, you can tell, very close. He sits down and, they begin speaking. And one thing I noticed, obviously, is a change of position of his hands. At the beginning, he has his hands very clasped together, down below, in between his thighs. Very quickly, you see him rubbing his jeans. When the conversation is starting to pick up and starting to get a little bit difficult, he starts to rub his jeans. Why? Because now the conversation is getting a little bit deep. And that's where we find himself. He does it again later on when they mention about who was your first love, and talks about his mom and etc. When the conversation gets tough, he starts rubbing his jeans, and sometimes that's a way that we know how to release tension and the stress that we're feeling. And when conversations are difficult and we don't know how to process stuff, because it's a difficult conversation, we just tend to do something that exerts the energy away from us, and that's what I noticed about him. And there was something else that he did when there was questions at the beginning. He was leaning back, but then as soon as they mentioned about have you ever been in love, and then he mentioned about the fact that he's had a few crushes, he leans forward. Yeah. Now he's engaged in a conversation. Now he wants to take the conversation forward.
How many times have you been in love?
I mean, I had crushes, a couple of crushes, but I just was so much into the streets and hip hop that I just didn't have any time.
So hip hop was your first love.
He wants to drive the conversation, whereas beforehand he was being asked. Now he wants to get forward and get involved fully and not just answer a question, but actually drive the conversation. And so that was very interesting as well, because obviously he had got himself into a place where, his conversation, I think he started to realize it's benefiting him. So he sat forward and said, listen, look, obviously, A, B, C, D. Right? And I think what was interesting as well during that conversation is the fact that we got to find out the how he grew up. And I think that's the very most important thing in terms of how he's loving Althea. He mentioned about the fact that his dad wasn't always home, but his dad always brought gifts.
Tim, he was a street guy, come through with big things of money, drop off and then take off, but you didn't think about the time. If he wasn't there, you just thought about, man, look at that.
Now, when you talk about love languages, sometimes I believe that people have, oftentimes the love language that they have is through what they missed out in childhood. But the same could be said as well. Some people develop a love language that also is in accordance with what they've seen. So now when Benzino has seen his father always providing lavish luxury gifts, but not necessarily being around, what does that mean? It means that when you now begin to issue out love, and actually Spirit picked up on this and said, listen, are you trying to earn love? Are you trying to buy love? And he's like, I'm not trying to buy love, do you understand? But the things that I've done, and notice this, throughout episode 1 and 2, he keeps mentioning what he has done. And that's why he feels hurt, because of what he has done. Do you understand? Because what he sees as love is what his father was doing, what the father had provided. And so now his role model in that, because remember he said he worshipped his father, is that when he's doing these things, he's showing love. But remember, gifts, acts of service may not be Althea's love language, and so therefore she's not receiving the love the way she needs to, and therefore there's a miscommunication. This is why love.
Try to buy it.
Are you trying to win it, to earn it, to prove?
Yeah, to show that, look, I love you, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
Language, you find out your love language. Hey, grab the book, Gary Chapman. Love languages are so important to understanding how someone receives and gives love, because then what it does, it allows you to then evaluate and say, hey, maybe I was thinking of it in this way, but I need to change my perspective. And so we see that with Benzino, that, you know what, how he receives love. You know, he just said, oh, you know, I just want love. You know what I mean? I'll take it anyhow, normal, whatever. You know, I think that gratefulness from Althea in terms of what he's doing would help. But that's not going to finish it. What needs to finish it is how he's going to receive this love, how he receives love, and how you know, how he appreciates love. That's the most key important thing going forward as well. You know, just the last kind of point, which is that, look, Benzino and Althea, they can make it if Spirit stays with them and actually, you know, gets these guys to the point where they realize why they're arguing and what work they need to do within themselves. This can work. They definitely do love each other. It's just a case of removing the veil of blindness that they both have. So yeah, guys, if you like the review, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for the notification of the uploads, baby, and watch out for part 2. We talk about Dwayne and also Theresa, and we'll just do a little summary with that as well. Alright, guys, appreciate it a lot. Stay loaded.